Welcome to the Save My Thyroid podcast, hosted by Dr. Eric Kosansky. To stay up to date on the latest thyroid health-related topics, make sure to subscribe on your podcast player. And to get your free thyroid and immune health restoration action points checklist, visit SaveMyThyroidChecklist.com. The following discussion is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. Please do not apply any of this information without first speaking with your doctor. Now let's head to the show.
Hey, this is Dr. Eric, and in this Q&A episode, I am going to answer the question, is sea salt beneficial or harmful to thyroid health? So I've been adding sea salt to my food for many years, and I've also been recommending it to my patients for quite a while. And without question, there are some benefits to consuming sea salt, specifically the trace minerals that are found in sea salt. But there are some concerns as well. 3 specific concerns I want to discuss during this Q&A episode. And the first concern has to do with the iodine. And I mentioned this in previous episodes. I'm not anti-iodine. I personally have had good experience with iodine, but there's a lot of controversy when it comes to iodine and thyroid health. And there was one specific case study I found where a patient with a history of treated Graves' disease developed acute thyrotoxicosis following the use of Himalayan salt. And a lot of my patients over the years have used Himalayan salt. Others have used Celtic sea salt, but Himalayan salt also very popular. And so examination confirmed a 50-gram diffuse goiter and other physical findings consistent with hyperthyroidism. She admitted that she'd been taking Himalayan salt approximately 10 grams daily in place of regular salt for the past 6 months. 10 grams is approximately 2 teaspoons. So it's not a lot. Usually I recommend maybe like half teaspoon to a full teaspoon of salt. This would be like twice that amount. But still, when you think about it, it's not a lot. But in this person, enough to cause problems. I've been working with people with hyperthyroidism for over 15 years, and I don't recall having witnessed a patient who had problems with Himalayan salt or other types of salt. But again, everybody is different. And my goal here was to bring awareness of the potential concerns with, in this case, even a small amount of iodine. So 2 teaspoons per day. Now, again, over the course of 6 months, what would have happened if she only had 1 teaspoon per day, or if she had 2 teaspoons for 3 months? Who knows? But like I said, my goal is to bring awareness. And to be fair, this was the only case study I saw in the research. But again, there definitely could have been, I'm sure, other people who had a similar experience, but they're just not in the research. And again, if you're looking to have a salt, a natural salt that doesn't have iodine, Celtic sea salt, fine grounds is an option. Now, again, I'm not 100% sure that it doesn't have any naturally occurring iodine, because there's also Redmond real salt, which also doesn't have any added salt. But then it mentions on the website that real salt doesn't contain enough naturally occurring iodine to satisfy the recommended daily allowance, which is 150 micrograms. And then it mentions that it has like 60 plus trace minerals. But again, we're not arguing that it does have the trace minerals and the health benefits, but I will bring this up, this question: do we need the minerals in sea salts? We could ask the same question with water. So I've been drinking reverse osmosis for quite a long time. I do also add in some Mountain Valley spring water. Hey, this is Dr. Eric. And if you're looking to do everything you can to save your thyroid, in addition to listening to this podcast, there are a few different ways we can help you. First of all, I've written 3 books on thyroid health, 2 related to hyperthyroidism and 1 related to Hashimoto's, and you can get all of them on Amazon, or to learn more about them, visit SaveMyThyroid.com/thyroid books. Second, you can also join my Graves' disease and Hashimoto's healing community by visiting SaveMyThyroid.com/thyroid group. And finally, if you want to get personal help from me, you can visit the website workwithdreric.com. Just to let you know, I only see a limited number of new patients each month, and I do require anyone interested to complete a brief online application before working with me. And now back to the show. And the concern with reverse osmosis is that it's removing the minerals. And my argument has been, well, we're getting most of the minerals through food, although admittedly, again, I have been drinking some Mountain Valley Springs. And then more recently, I've been adding some minerals to the water just to play it safe. Now, do we absolutely need minerals from sea salts? the honest answer is I'm not sure. Maybe we don't. I mean, it is a small amount and we're getting from other sources. Now, are we getting all the trace minerals from the food we eat? If we add it to the water, like I've been doing, maybe, but even then, I'm not sure if we're getting as many as that's in the sea salt. So that's the argument for sea salt. So, like I said, I'm not sure, but I did want to bring up two other concerns. So let's talk about a study that shows that there is growing evidence that excess salt affects the immune system and might be considered as a risk factor in autoimmune diseases such as multiple sclerosis. And pretty much the title of this was A High Salt Diet Triggers Th17 Mediated Autoimmunity. And so Th17 cells are increased in autoimmune conditions such as Graves and Hashimoto's. Now, I need to bring up that this says X salts, that growing evidence that excess salts affects the immune system. And this study also uses sodium chloride and not sea salt or Himalayan salt. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, again, if you have these other types of salts, they're also going to have sodium and you could overdo it, which could stimulate the Th17, like cause increase in Th17 cells, potentially be a trigger or exacerbate autoimmunity. Again, it's probably not common, but like I said, just something to be aware of, that if you are going to continue, if you are currently adding, whether it's Himalayan salts or Celtic sea salt or another type of salt, you just want to make sure you're not adding large amounts. Concern number 3. So this is a big one for me. Not to say the other two aren't important, but concern number 3, microplastics in sea salts. So there are a number of different studies showing that there are microplastics in sea salts. So this isn't just the opinion of myself or others. So there's 3 specific studies I want to mention. The first one mentioned that the quantities of microplastics in unprocessed salts were higher than those in the processed salts, and the sea salts were classified as potential hazard index levels 4 to 5, indicating serious microplastic contamination. And then there was another journal article that extracted microplastics from 13 European sea salts. And it also mentioned that approximately 14 micrograms of microplastics may be absorbed by the human body annually, of which a quarter may derive from a consumer choosing sea salts. And a portion of microplastics may enter sea salts through production processes rather than source material. So either way, you're getting exposed to the microplastics. And then the third journal article mentioned that microplastic contamination in edible sea salt from the largest salt-producing states of India. And the most common microplastics identified in the edible salts were polyethylene, polyester, and polyvinyl chloride derived from marine and salt processing units. So this is a concern, and it's, in my opinion, it's difficult to weigh the risk versus benefits, similar to fish. So there's health benefits of eating wild salmon. Wild salmon, not as high in heavy metals such as mercury, but it still has mercury and it has microplastics and other contaminants. So are the benefits of getting the omega-3s and other nutrients, protein, of course, but the big thing is the omega-3s. Are the benefits of getting omega-3s from fish worth the risk of getting exposed to microplastics, heavy metals? And similar to sea salt, the risks of getting those trace minerals, is it worth getting exposed to microplastics? And again, there's the concerns with the Th17 mediated autoimmunity and the iodine, but again, that seems to be more of a concern with excess, especially as far as stimulating the immune system, increasing Th17 cells. But again, the microplastics is something I've thought about. As of recording this, I'm still adding sea salt to my food, but it's made me think, is it something that I'm going to continue to do long term? And the honest answer is I'm not sure. Right now, some of it honestly is just habit, and I do like the taste of it. If I knew 100% sure that the risk outweighed the benefit, I would definitely stop, but I'm not sure and still trying to make that decision. But like I said, I'm just trying to bring awareness with this episode. And so that is my answer to the question, is sea salt beneficial or harmful to thyroid health? Again, there are definitely trace minerals that could be beneficial to thyroid health and just overall health in general. But then there are also some concerns that I mentioned that might potentially be harmful to the thyroid directly. Again, microplastics. I do have a separate Q&A episode where I talk about microplastics and the endocrine disrupting concerns to the thyroid. And then I mentioned the concern with iodine. Again, iodine, we also need iodine too. So it's not all bad about iodine. But again, this is all about trying to bring awareness, trying to weigh those risks versus benefits. As usual, I hope you found this Q&A episode to be super valuable, and I look forward to catching you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Save My Thyroid podcast. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe to stay up to date on the latest thyroid health-related topics. And to get your free thyroid and immune health restoration action points checklist, visit SaveMyThyroidChecklist.com. Thanks so much for tuning in.